The college football experience, Illinois Fighting Illini 2024 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their brand new Pick 8. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Yes, they do have college football. You know, when the season kicks, they got you covered. But right now, CFL action, MLB, all that good stuff. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey, everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Football experience, Illinois Fighting Illini 2024 season preview episode. If you look, this is the first one for the Big Ten.
Boom!
Exactly. As we break down all 134 college football teams with a solo podcast for each and every team in the land, go listen to the entire SEC, the entire Mountain West. They're all out there. And I think you might have you might be able to find yourself a slight edge. All right. So look, youtube.com/the college experience. Get on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. I mean, wherever podcasts can be found as well. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Oh, boy. Shout out to the chat. We got Jong, Chad, G already commenting, saying this pairs great with your Saturday night. We are right around the corner. Just, it was 56, 57 days, something like that.
Countdown is on.
Exactly. I can't wait, man. I mean, previewing all these teams is a lot of fun. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh!
Let's get it going.
Let's go.
We got a Badger fan in here. Big baller saying, "Go Badgers!"
Ooh.
All right. It's just it's happening here. Yes, I mean, look, this program. I don't know how to put it. Besides, I want this program to be great, right? I do.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up an Illinois fan. I just enjoy them. I like the history from Red Grange to Butkus to, Jeff George, true asshole quarterback. Love asshole quarterbacks.
You got psycho running backs, Rashard Mendenhall.
Yeah. Look, a lot of good stuff going on here. I remember the Simeon Rice era, but it's confusing to me. I don't understand how they can be this bad over this, doing a deep dive like we do on every one of these teams. They have just 7 winning seasons in the past 30 years of college football. I don't understand how that, and only 1 double-digit win season in the last 33 seasons. You have to go back 34 years for the last double-digit win season. It's
for a team that cranks out as much talent as this team does. They're sending several guys every draft, like 3 or 4. you should be cranking out a 10-win season a lot more frequently than that.
I just don't get it. Like and they were in the Big Ten West, which is gone starting this season, by the way. But it's like,
I mean, resource-wise, what's the difference between Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois? There shouldn't be any.
Yeah.
You know?
If anything, I think Illinois might have the edge because you're right outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but look, we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk everything: offense, defense, special teams, the portal, the schedule, go game by game on the schedule, talk about it all. But before we do that, I want to tell you that you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And make sure to check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as they've already started their top 10 fantasy football preview series. The quarterbacks and tight ends episodes are already live. Jump on over there. It's never too early for the National Football League. All right, back talking Illini football and Patty C. I just don't get it. It confuses me. And I got to ask you, you were bullish on the Bret Bielema hire.
Yeah. It was looking good for year 2, at least.
Is there a chance that he's coaching for his job right now? Is there a chance?
I don't think it's just a chance. I think it's absolutely the case. You know, if you have 3 losing seasons in your first 4 years, is that cutting it? I mean, if we look back at the history, I guess Lovie Smith was given a little bit longer of a leash, but that's probably because he was a Chicago legend.
Well, and you also have no more Big Ten West. You got all these schools, USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon coming in. You got a big TV contract coming, so you can afford to spend a lot more than you used to be able to.
That's true.
And by the way, that old logo is absolutely fire. I know on Twitter, it's college football. The college football Twitter world was sharing a orange helmet with that logo on it.
Badass.
Oh man, it would be phenomenal. They're dropping the ball. That thing is fire.
I tell you what, we should do a trade here because Indiana with that little interlocking IU ain't working, but their old helmets with just the block eye on it were awesome, right? And Illinois, I do like the block eye. I think it works there. But if you know you didn't want to have the exact same helmet, which they kind of did for a while there, then or I don't know, did Illinois always have the block eye? How long have they had that on there? It's been a while, right?
Decent amount, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cannabis Capper.
On there.
I know he's in the great state of Illinois, and he goes, "How is Illinois bad at football? Really mediocre hires, poor infrastructure, recruiting, but." Okay, yeah, I'm with you, but you're still like, that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
The basketball program has no problem winning games, right?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Like you are in a state that produces more talent than Wisconsin, more talent than Iowa, more talent than Kansas, but yet Kansas State can win. You know what I mean? Like we can go you can go state by state, really. You know, like there's no reason like right now we're seeing the come up of Missouri football really since they joined the SEC. Pinkel took them to 2 SEC championships. They're pretty much a bowl team year in, year out.
Yeah, that's true.
How the hell can they not be Missouri?
Right. I mean, Missouri did have a few down years recently. And
they were still like 6-6 though.
Yeah. I mean,
like they're still making bowl games.
It's incredible that Northwestern is a more successful program than Illinois. That's just pathetic because Northwestern has massive, recruiting disadvantages due to their academic standards.
Yeah, and that's not even talking about the flying squirrel.
What the hell's the flying squirrel?
You don't remember the story?
No, I'm unfamiliar.
Players last year were getting the flying squirrel. So it was a sexual move in the locker room there.
Oh yeah. That's right. I didn't realize I was part of that equation. I remember the car wash.
I don't know if that counts as a sexual move, but it was happening. The flying squirrel was happening. I don't think they were actually having sex with the people afterwards, but it was still.
If you can't be
back up reading this and saying like flying squirrels are happening left and right. 18 and 19 in 3 seasons at Illinois is Bielema. And I think the puzzling thing is, the best thing he's got going is just 3-0 against Minnesota. He's 2-1 against Northwestern, 2-1 against Nebraska. But being 0-3 against Purdue is like, what?
Yeah. That's a random one. But look, all things considered, if you're head to head have an advantage on most of your Big Ten West rivals, traditional rivals, then that probably pleases the fans.
Not Iowa, Wisconsin, and Purdue. Yeah.
No, I guess Purdue is Big Ten West. Yeah.
But look, I mean, they've got even crazier is like, look at their record against Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State since 2000. They caught Penn State during like their really terrible Sandusky years.
Yeah, the Penn State is surprisingly good. 5-13. You know, it's not great, obviously, but Penn State is a legit powerhouse.
Still, it's still puzzling. Like if I pulled the stats of like how many times, with the exception of Kansas, if I pulled like how many times Baylor or Texas Tech or whatever have beaten, or TCU have beaten Texas.
Yeah.
Like the TCU, I think's won like 7 of 10 against Texas. You know what I mean? Like it's mind numbing to me. Cause Michigan had some down ass years there before Harbaugh, right?
Yeah.
Michigan State
that's true.
Struggled lately. They had, but I don't know
how Illinois just continues to not capitalize on other teams having down seasons. Pretty unbelievable. Yeah, because talent wise, I think you're right. The gap between the likes of Illinois and Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State is probably similar to the talent gap between TCU and Texas, or Texas Tech and Texas. But those teams find ways to get it done. Illinois kind of doesn't.
Lazy hires is probably right. Cannabis Capper's probably right there, but they've also had problems with mid majors, man. Since 2000, UTS. I mean, by the way, they got very fortunate to beat Toledo and Florida Atlantic last year. Toledo, they were losing the entire game. They won by 2.
Yeah, miracle.
Florida Atlantic, I think they won by 6, but they were kind of up majority of that game, if memory serves me correct. But they've lost to UTSA, Eastern Michigan. They got swept in a home and home with South Florida. Western Michigan blew them out in Champaign. That was the Lovie Smith era. La Tech beat them in a bowl game and then beat them at home in Champaign. 2 different teams. Skip Holtz 2-0 against them. Fresno State won at home and home against them. They lost at Cincinnati. They got whooped at Southern Miss, and San Jose State went into Champaign. I mean,
I like how for most teams we have, good wins, awesome wins on their schedule. For Illinois, it's bad losses, because that seems to be the thing that stands out about them most is the bad losses and the inability to beat good teams.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, but so you think like there's a good, do you think he's coaching a year from now? I know we got to preview the team, but like,
I think a lot depends on this year. I think going bowling this year would do wonders for him, because I think bowling is pretty much the standard by which they judge a good year or a bad year in Illinois. It seems like. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but we thought that was a good hire. I mean, I know you liked it a lot. I liked it too. I thought it fit. He's from the state.
He has a record of success, relatively speaking. I think he did pretty well at Arkansas, where they getting like 8 wins while he was there most years.
Yeah.
Or several years at least. So
yeah, but and Cannabis Capper saying bad losses and inability to beat good teams, bad combo. You're right, but I mean, the Lovie Smith one, I knew from the second he was hired, I was like, what a disaster.
Yeah.
Now prior to that, they had what's his name from Florida at one point.
Zook. They had Beckman in between that. I don't even know. Bill Cubitt that year somehow happened, and
he was good. He was good.
5-7, not amazing. But
that's exactly what Bill was doing.
That's true.
Right? Anyway, let's jump into this thing. But before I jump into it, I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience Fighting Illini season preview for 2024 is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Pick 8 is now live. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry with more picks to make and extra ways to win. The excitement is higher than ever. And the best part is you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Plus, if you're already a user, deposit between now and UFC 303 for 10% bonus cash. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Like I said, they do have college football action. Dog days of summer right now. CFL, I'm playing it all the time. MLB, UFC, UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 teams, 5 NFL teams, ATS each week, and compete for $6 million, or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com for you to save $50 with the promo code SGP over there at footballcontestproxy.com. But yeah, if you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before the football season, may I recommend the Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go hang out, because the guys from Sports Gambling Podcast, my pals, Ryan Real Money Kramer and Sean Stagger the Money Green will be over there. And look, you can enjoy some of the open bar events there at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th over at Circa. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right. Shout out to Courtney Joe. Love his comment. What's up to my favorite white boy cornerback, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing? There we go. Yes.
Just downed myself a burrito about 30 minutes ago. So feeling good, baby.
Well, it made sense. You played a game of flag football today.
That's true.
Right? It just goes hand in hand, man.
I'm firing on all cylinders here.
Football and burritos, who needs Gatorade or smelling salts, right?
That's right. Boom. That sideline is stopped. I'm ready.
Let's jump into this because a year ago, shout out to Courtney Joe though, but a year ago, the offense, it wasn't the problem, but at the same time, I am shocked by one of these stats. 81st they were in scoring per game last year, 24.5 points per game. That was fifth best in the Big Ten. 14 teams in the Big Ten last season. Remember, this year it's going to be 18 or 1,000. I forget. You
could say that was the problem a little bit. 81st in scoring offense. That's not good.
I'm going to get to another one that stands out to be 60th in yards, 391 yards per game, third best in the Big Ten. Hey, you had the third best offense in the Big Ten at getting yards, third best in passing. What? Bret Bielema, 35th in the nation, 264.6 yards per game. And this is the one where you're like, what the fuck? Bret Bielema, 96th in rushing, 9th best in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Patty, see, this is not what I envisioned with Bret Bielema at Illinois.
No, not at all. I mean, who knows? Obviously, every Wisconsin coach that came through was able to run the ball, and so maybe that's more about the system and less about the coach.
Well, at Arkansas, he did that shit. Though.
Yeah, he pounded the rock at Arkansas. I would expect him to be a highly effective rushing team most years. So that is surprising.
And he played under Hayden Fry. He coached with Bill Snyder.
No one's got it in their DNA more.
Yeah. Those are shocking to me. When I pulled up 9th best, I was like, what the fuck? Look at, they got 5 starters back. Luke Altmyer. Where are you at with Luke Altmyer, by the way?
I mean, left a lot to be desired last year. I thought Paddock played better. The stats kind of support that idea. But maybe year 2 will be better. But it's almost like the opposite of the quarterbacks that leave the Big Ten West country and go down to Florida or out to wherever.
Yeah, you got like all these quarterbacks that put up big numbers and they go to the Big Ten West. They're like, fuck.
Yeah, shit in the bed.
Altmyer has his struggles, but he's back. You got to like that if you're an Illini fan. Get the quarterback back. You got both your wideouts though. I mean, you had 3 wideouts that started games last year. Patrick Bryant is back. But you lost 2. I believe they're both in the NFL or on training camps rosters. But you are bringing back 3 of 5 on the offensive line, and you could technically say 4 of 5 because they went out and got J.C. Davis from New Mexico who started. But we'll talk about the portal in a second. But you think the offense will be a little bit better on the line of scrimmage this year? Maybe they run the ball a little more.
I mean, potentially returning 3 out of 5 is, that I think is probably pretty good returning production there. It can't be a lot worse. I mean, what happened from a rushing, Reggie Love, 5 yards per carry. That's respectable, but was he injured only 8 games?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
that could have been a factor. Love was a really good back, and
it's going to be a factor that he's at Purdue now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because my bad. I put defensive additions. That's definitely offense. Cole Rusk comes in from Murray State, the Racers at the tight end spot. Also Carson Goda from St. Anselm. Zakhari Franklin, I do think is a sneaky good get. They got late.
He had like 2,000-yard seasons at where was it?
UTSA.
UTSA, yeah.
Year at Ole Miss, and Barry Lunney was his offensive coordinator. In the OC for Illinois was the OC of UTSA back then. So makes sense. You went out, you get an offensive tackle, and Melvis Presley. Jerry Glanville's going to leave him some tickets at the Liberty Bowl. All right, but no, Melvin Presley from the Georgia Bulldogs comes over, and same with J.C. Davis. Also, they went out to Michigan State and brought in Kevin Wigington. The O-line should be better, right?
Yeah, I mean 2 tight ends and three interior linemen, or I guess offensive linemen in general, because at least one of those guys was a tackle. Well, okay, never mind. They have a lot of losses on the offensive line.
Well, what's crazy is they got a kid from Michigan State, but offensive lineman Andrew Dennis went out to Michigan State. They're trading offensive linemen over here. They also lost Joey Okla to the Wisconsin Badgers. They're on the schedule most years. Remember, no more Big Ten West, but they also lost Reggie Love to Purdue, as I alluded to earlier. Owen Anderson, a tight end to UMass. Griffin Moore, a tight end to Texas State. There's some other names out there. Sean Miller to New Mexico. So they got a tackle from New Mexico. They traded a wide receiver, Sean Miller, for him. Ian Pugh also heading out to Ohio. Zach Barlev to the Monarchs of Old Dominion. Will Lays to San Jose State. Is the offense going to be better?
No. I mean, when you look at it that way, you lose your top rusher. Your quarterback didn't have great production last year. Even though you bring back 3 linemen, you did lose a lineman to the NFL draft, as well as a tight end and a receiver to the NFL draft. So, you're losing a lot of talent on offense, and it doesn't seem like you have any big aside from Zakhari Franklin. He could be a game changer.
Yeah. The Big Ten West hasn't seen a player like him in fucking years. But Big Ten West is gone though. I don't know, man. We'll talk, because what's that?
I'll tell you what, that could be exactly what Wisconsin needs. Illinois rather, because if you have just a guy that can take the top off of defense and make them respect you deep, and that opens up your run game and allows that to become something you can lean on, and they just have to respect both, then that offense can work. And if you don't have that and they can zero in on your rush game, even if it's good, it's going to get bottled up if they don't have to respect your pass. But if Franklin adds that element, then maybe things open up for him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to be optimistic here. Folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. So claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back on the Illinois Fighting Illini 2024 season preview. The defensive side of the ball, they lose Ryan Walters a year ago. Remember, he was their defense coordinator. They had a top 10 I think they were the second or third best defense in the nation 2 years ago. And he leaves for the Purdue job. My boy Ryan Walters, former Colorado Buffalo safety. Now
Aaron Henry took over.
Aaron Henry, and they were 93rd in the nation in scoring per game, giving up. That was third to last in the Big Ten, Patty C. In points. Also, they were fourth to last in the Big Ten and giving up yards. They gave up 377.2 yards per game. That was 61st in the nation. Pass defense was fourth worst in the Big Ten, 71st in passing, giving up 228.1 yards per game. Rush defense was better than all the rest, but still not good. 63rd in rush defense from a season ago, 149.2 yards per game. And look, I was on the over last year. The over did not hit. When you look back at last season, their losses were to Penn State. They lost to Purdue by 25, a bad Purdue team.
Yeah.
They lost to Nebraska by 13, and that was a bad Nebraska team in my opinion. They lost to Wisconsin by 4. They lost to Iowa by 2, which happens every game, but and Northwestern by 2. You could argue that
they got better over the course of the season.
I'm just saying they have what? How many losses were by, a touchdown or less? Like 3 or 4, right?
3.
But at the same time, they have a 2-point win against Toledo, a 6-point win against Florida Atlantic, right? A 3-point win against Maryland, a 1-point win against Minnesota, an overtime win by 1 against Indiana. I got no idea what to really, think of this team. They could have easily been 2-10.
They sucked.
They also could have been 8-4.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the beginning of that schedule, and they started out 2-4 with a 6-point win over Florida Atlantic, which is not impressive, obviously, and that miracle win, 2-point win against Toledo, both at home. You were like, all right, they really sucked for the first half of the season. Then the second half of the season, every single game, 6 straight games decided by 4 points or less. They look like a much more competitive team in the second half of the season. And you're right. If a couple of 3 of those close losses by 4 points or less turned into wins, and then they end the season on a 6-game win streak. So, I mean, that's a big if, but at least they were competitive in every game for the second half of the season. So maybe that is. Now, who was the quarterback during the second? I forget what happened with
they also had John Paddock, the Ball State transfer. He's graduated though. He was a grad transfer a year ago.
I'm just wondering if I'm drawing a blank on whether if their success toward the second half of the year was with Paddock or with Altmyer. But I feel like Paddock stepped in and they got a little better right away. So
I do remember one game where he came in and I thought he looked good down the stretch, like one game. But well, the whole defensive line is gone. And that's tough because they were good. I don't know. Like I kind of trust Bielema, but I used to trust Bielema to be able to run the ball too. I feel like they can just reload. Now they did go out in the portal and brought a couple guys in from Auburn and Florida State in the portal, but let's talk about what else is returning. They do have 7 starters back on the defensive side of the ball. The linebacking core entirely intact. Gabe Jackas is a guy that has got NFL potential. I know they flipped him from Tulane to Illinois. He's out of Florida. That they're excited to have him back, and Dylan Rosek. That's a guy that's all Big Ten preseason. So they got that. Seth Coleman also. Kenna Odeluga is back, and the secondary, both corners, Terrence Brooks, Xavier Scott back, as well as Miles Scott. I mean, the defense should be improved, sort of. Like I feel like when you bring back 7, that's good. You want to have someone on the D line though, but your thoughts?
Yeah. Bringing back 7, the whole. I mean, when you're both, even though the defensive line was the strength of the team, the stats you presented being pretty bad at both, run stuffing and defending the pass, seems like they needed help everywhere. Who's the guy they lost in the draft? Jerzon Newton in the second round.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Defensive tackle.
He's a stud. Yeah.
So losing talent in the trenches hurts, but they need help everywhere. So I think bringing 7 back is a good thing for this team.
Yeah, and shout out to Boston Capper in the chat. It says used to drive over here to fuck chicks. He said they loved the man in a uniform. He was in the Army. Check out the Golf Gambling Podcast, folks. Shout out to Boston Capper. Hell of a good guy. They went out in the portal. But first they lost. Let's key on what they lost because they did lose. And I think the big one here is the corner Nicholson going to Louisville because this is a guy that started a lot of games for them. They also lost Anthony Johnson to Pitt. A few other guys. App State gets Elijah McCantos. Zakhari Toby goes to Georgia Tech. Jared Beatty to San Diego State with the Aztecs and Sean Lewis. Cedarius McConnell going to Boston College there. Okay. I mean, Calvin Smith going to Purdue. Purdue's just coming in there and grab Ryan Walters just said, "Hey,
yeah,
I need some guys. Where are my guys?" They brought in a few guys though. First off, your opinion on the Gentle Hunt from Florida A&M coming in.
Sometimes you're aggressive. Sometimes you got to be gentle. There's two ways to skin a cat there.
I feel like that's on Urban Dictionary.
well, I don't get. They bring the in cold.
And then I mean, they brought in two big-time defensive linemen from Auburn and Florida State, and how do I pronounce this guy's name?
Ennis.
Could that be Ennis? Or
Ennis.
I don't.
Could be Ennis. Yeah,
Ennis Sledge from Auburn. Dennis Briggs Jr. from Florida State, and then Terrence Brooks, a corner from Texas. That's a nice get. Same with Torrey Cox from Ohio. Ohio just got completely depleted in the portal. I'm gonna go ahead and say they won on the defensive side of the ball, Patty C.
With the additions, can you go back to the players that left in the portal? Numerically they didn't win. Certainly, what they have, like, it looks like 10 or 11 going out, and they only got like 4 or 5 coming in.
That could have been because freshmen are coming in, though. You could be telling old Lane Jenkins, "Lane, love you, pal, but get the fuck out." All right, something like that, or Johnny Schmidt saying, there's a program called the Salukis down there in Southern Illinois. Shout out to Stone Labanowitz. You can go down there and kick ass. But I don't know. I mean, I still think like getting 2 starting defensive linemen, potentially a couple starting defensive backs.
Yeah, they didn't. Jerzon Newton was had like 7.5 sacks. Then they had a dude with 6, a dude with 4, and they just didn't generate. I think the whole team had 24 sacks last year. That's not impressive. And then you lose almost a third of it when Newton walks out the door. I would like to have seen them bring in more, pass rushers. I guess the linebackers could be responsible for generating some pass rush, but right now it seems like a weak unit up front. So I don't know if you can't stop the run and you can't rush the pass, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it. Here we are. We've gone through the offense and defense. And by the way, if you're wondering, the kicker is a new kicker. The punter returns. I believe his name is Hugh Robertson.
That logo you got on the screen, that's what they used to have on the helmet, like the Illinois with like the underline, like the Giants. Which one do you like better, the I or the script Illinois?
No, I like this one better.
The eye.
Because another thing with the eye, if it's eye that color, but they switched to like a heavy orange at one point with the eye. Like I feel like even now it's like a heavy orange. If you Google image their logo, it's a little it's too burnt to me.
They go white. They changed it up. They got.
No, I'm just talking about the logo though, not don't look at the football uniform. Just look at the logo. Type in, Illinois Fighting Illini logo, and you'll see it's like they changed the color orange.
On the helmet itself or on the eye?
No, don't even look at the helmet. Just on the logo. On the logo, it's much more.
It's a better orange.
No, this is better in my opinion. Okay. If you want me to quickly try to show you what I mean.
I'll take your word for it, but if you want to pull it up, go ahead.
YouTube.com/The College Experience, folks, where we will show you, we'll talk about, uniforms and everything. Share screen. Let's
give a comprehensive look at the team.
Okay.
Down to the minutia.
Okay, here we are. This is what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's like
reddish. It's too over the top for me, right? It's between that and that. Come on,
go for the brighter one for sure.
No, I like this one.
That one's brighter.
Oh,
right?
Okay, yeah, maybe I don't know. But anyway, Let's get to this win total as we argue. This is what we do in the college football experience. We argue what we like letter wise. All right. The win total sitting at 5.5. Patty C. Now I will say that it is juiced to the under, -120 on the under, +100 on the over. So Vegas saying this is a 5-7 team. If they go 5-7, is Bret Bielema the coach next year? This time, Patty C.
No, I think that gets him canned. I don't know. I mean, it depends on what his contract is. Did they renew him when he went 8-5? I didn't go back and take a look at his contract details, but I would imagine if you're 5-7 for consecutive years and 3 out of the 4 years you're there, then yeah, they probably want to change you out.
Yeah. Plus they're plus what? Plus 20 grand there to plus 20,000 to win the old Big Ten championship.
Wow.
To win the Natty. They're out there. They have odds. I don't know why you would play it, but plus 90,000 there.
Yeah, you're throwing away money either way.
Yeah. Blindly, before we go game by game on the schedule, do you think this is a bowl team this year?
Blindly, I mean, I think 5.5 is exactly right. I think depending on how one game turns out, they have a bunch of 50-50 games. If they get the better of those, then they're going bowling. If not, but to answer your question, no, I think five wins is where they end up.
Really? Because my first thought was, I was like, it's I almost said Mordecai. It's Altmyer's second year in the offense. Second year learning that offense. Even though they lose their running back and wideouts and tight end, but I just feel like the offense better. Now, the other side of that is they don't have the Big Ten West, so maybe you're right. Well, let's jump into it. But my first thought was, I was thinking this is going to be a 6-7 win team this year, but that's that's flying without looking at the schedule. So,
let's take a peek.
Shout out to Daniel saying the quarterback is awful though. And I say quarterback like you're actually
in Illinois. Quarterback.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the quarterback. Quarterback can't do anything over here, man. The good news is this. And by the way, if you're wondering what the number is on the right, I power ranked 1 to 12 the games on the schedule. That I think from easiest being 12 to hardest being 1, or the biggest game, and that is they open up against Tony Romo's alma mater and Jimmy Garoppolo. Eastern Illinois coming to town. Love the regionality of this. 1-0, correct?
Yeah, gotta figure. Although I feel like Eastern Illinois could give them a little bit of a scare, but that's one they absolutely should win. Hopefully.
Then Lance Leipold and Kansas come to town, and before in my
huge game,
it's fucking gigantic, man. Because in my mind before, I thought maybe they could get revenge on Kansas. Because Kansas kind of lit them up. They almost came back, but Kansas was lighting them up early.
What was the final on that one? That one ended up being,
they made it close, but that was like a
24-23. Yeah, they closed the gap.
I mean, I have to take Kansas right now, but they could win this still, right?
They could. At home is important, So if they show up and the fans are excited for this one, maybe they pull out a huge win early on in the slate. That could really set things off in the right direction for them. But if I was, to be throwing my rent money on it, I'm going to take Kansas straight up.
Yeah, me too. So 1-1, then fire up chips. Jim McElwain and Central Michigan come to town. Dude, watch out, because I feel like what they've lost to Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan in the past 5 years or 6 years, this will put a bow on it. Central Michigan comes to town. I'll give them the win. 2-1. You?
Yeah, 2-1. But you're right. If they go 1-2 with the loss to Central Michigan, his seat is hot early.
Yeah.
With road trips coming up to Nebraska and Penn State, that could be a disastrous start to the season for him. And then with the bye week, that could be fire him time,
Yeah, but so if you lose to Central Michigan, sure. But I think they're going to beat Nebraska. Am I crazy? I just think Nebraska, like, what makes us? I get it. Nebraska's defense looked pretty good last year, but the offense was horrible, and they're starting a freshman quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in Lincoln, that's a big statement to have Illinois go in there and grab that W on the road.
He's 2-1 against Nebraska thus far. Bielema is.
All right, man, that's a huge one too.
That is a gigantic game, though. That is, to me, like, if you're gonna hit your over,
yeah,
you need this. You need this game. You either need Kansas or Nebraska, in my opinion. Like, you gotta be 3-1 at that point.
I don't think they're absolutely necessary to get to 6, but pretty close. But I have them losing both of those. I have them 2-2 here.
I got them 3-1, but then they get smoked at Penn State. Yeah. So I got them 3-2.
Although, let me say this: Penn State, another ground and pound conservative team. That's a game I feel like Illinois can find themselves.
They won the last time they went to State College. Remember that crazy overtime game? What do you got them at the first bye week?
2-3.
I got them at 3-2. They get out of the bye week. They get a home game against Purdue. He's 0-3 against Purdue. Whether it's Brom, whether it's Walters, they can't beat fucking Purdue. Can he get his first win against Purdue?
That's asking a lot when you put it like that. But at home they should. But I don't know. I have a massive underrating of Purdue at all times. I never give them the respect they're due. Are they going to regress? Without
this is their first win against Purdue. This is it.
Yeah,
they got the bye week right before it. They could focus on it. I got them at 4-2. Daniel in the chat saying Nebraska's quarterback looks like Patrick Mahomes out there, but that was a spring game, dude. Like, I need to see it. Like, I know he's a top recruit, and I know he's probably going to end up phenomenal, probably be in the NFL. But you can't just tell me, that he's just going to come in. Most freshman quarterbacks look like freshman quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, majority of them.
Sometimes, yeah, majority. Although top
Johnny
quarterbacks,
Manziel, there's examples of. I think Jameis Winston was one that popped off screen when he was a freshman.
I mean, if we went year by year, and we could quickly, I don't know if you want to, of the top quarterback in every recruiting class, you got guys like, Trevor Lawrence. Justin Fields was a number 2. I think
we didn't see him as a freshman though. He was at Georgia.
That's true. We
didn't see him for his first 2 years. I don't think.
But Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 quarterback in that class and came out and stunned everyone.
He looked great, but for every one of those, I'm saying there's there's I mean, how many USC that didn't look great their first year? You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
I would say, you're right. More often than not, even the number 1 recruited quarterback in the class struggles a little bit.
I'm just saying, I think the game is more even. I don't think it's like I could see Nebraska winning it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Illinois is going to walk in there and beat their ass, but I'm saying it's a 50-50 game to me. And I think, if anything, I like Bielema's a defensive coach. And to me, I kind of like his chances against a freshman quarterback.
Dial it up against the kid and make him beat you.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, I got him beating Purdue. I got him 4-2. Go heading into hosting a game against Michigan.
I'll give him the win, so I'll say 3-3 there.
Against Michigan, they should have won in Ann Arbor a couple years ago. They got absolutely hosed by the refs. I know Bielema's still mad about that, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen here either. So I got him.
But this game is in. This game's
it's in Champaign. It's in Champaign, man. Memorial Field. Love the stadium. You know what I mean? But I got him 4-3.
That would be a tremendous victory for Bielema. But yeah, I don't see him getting it. 3-4 for me.
Then they head to Autzen. Nope. Good luck.
Yeah.
That's a brutal back-to-back, even though it's not a back-to-back away.
You know what? Take it then. If you're going to get hammered on your back-to-backs, get them out of the way against really hard teams, and then, make the rest of your slate much more manageable.
Well, he is 3-0 against Minnesota. I'm not going to fade that trend now. Give me a 5th win against Minnesota.
I'm with you. I think they get him, even though I think Fleck has that program in a slightly better place. I think at home they're going to get Minnesota.
Then they're home to Michigan State, followed by a bye, and then 2 road games at Rutgers and at Northwestern. They're hitting this fucking over. They're winning 1, if not 2, if not 3 of those.
I mean, Michigan State. I think they get at least one of those last three.
Yeah.
Michigan State at
But
Rutgers.
that would put you at 5. I think this is a 6 or 7 win team this year.
It could be. I could easily see 6. 7 would be impressive. That would mean they, fix some stuff and they're winning close games. I mean, when you go back to what was it, 2021? I feel like they had a bunch of close wins that year too. So if it looks
that's
more
his
like
MO. I mean, that's like Iowa. Like Kirk Ferentz is like 1,020 winning 15 to 14. You know what I mean? Like every week. There's an art to that. But he clearly didn't have it last year.
It was a 9 overtime game that they beat Penn State in 2021. Amazing.
Insane. Just insane. No one
talk about playing a close game.
No one could score from 2 yards away. They should all be embarrassed. Robert Martin saying this is a 4-win team.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case. So worst case scenario, they beat Eastern Illinois, Central Michigan, and what? Give me like Purdue. I think
Probably
worst
Purdue.
Case scenario, they're like a 3-9 team, but
they're better than that. Bielema is a better coach than that. I say the floor is 4. But I think what do you got the ceiling at?
9. This is what they got to do to they got to win all their 50-50 games. Eastern Illinois, Kansas, Central Michigan, Nebraska. That's 4.
There is no fucking way this team is winning 9 games.
Out of the bye week, they get Purdue. That's 5. Minnesota 6. Michigan State 7. Rutgers 8. Northwestern 9. Hell, they might be favored in 7 of those. All you're asking is for 2 upsets.
All you're asking is for Luke Altmyer to turn into Joe Montana, and then you can get to 9 wins.
Buddy, what they win 2 years ago? Was it 8?
8-5. Was that?
Well, what the fuck, man? That could happen. That was with Arthur Satowski, bro.
He was there for half the year. 8-5, and that was with a bowl loss. So they were 8-4 in the regular season.
They could do it.
Yeah, 2 years ago they lost all 4 games by 9 points or 8 points or less. So all 4 of their losses were 1 possession games, and then the bowl game they lost by 9. If he can, one little tweak here. I do think that who's the receiver? Zakhari Franklin. Maybe he's the difference that Altmyer needs.
I think they got a nice Big Ten schedule. You want to get a schedule, in my opinion, that has Rutgers, Northwestern, Michigan State, Minnesota, Purdue, and Nebraska on it. Now, yes, you have Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon, but it's almost you're gonna get some of those teams. You know what I mean? Okay. I mean, I don't know. You get 3 of the top 5 teams.
I mean, you're convincing me. You're convincing me. I want Bielema to do it, and I think he's a good enough coach to get. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. Is he has proven in his track record. I mean, if we go over Bielema's history, can we throw away Wisconsin, what he did there? I mean, he had a great run there with 12 wins, 9, 7, 10, 11, and 8, right? But then Arkansas is probably a little bit closer of a look to what he is facing up against. But we got 3-9, 7-6, 8-5, 7-6, 4-8. So he's about a 7-win coach most years, and he's due for that kind of year this year. Although the talent doesn't suggest they're like definitely a much better team, does it?
Not really, but I like the quarterback in year 2 of the offense. That's your angle if you're on the over, and I am on the over. So I think this is a 6 or 7 win team. If I was setting this line, I'd put it at 6.5, not 5.5. I'd put it at 6.5.
Generous. They might get to 6.
Let me ask you this: what games will they be flat out underdogs in? Kansas 1.
Yeah.
Penn State 2. Michigan 3.
At Nebraska, 4. They're probably going to be
maybe, but what if Colorado beats Nebraska week 2 by we are just assuming that Nebraska's quarterback and
it can't be worse than Jeff Sims,
True, but it's not like they had great wideouts last year. Now they did bring in some guys in the portal, but I'm not ready to crown them yet. You know what I mean? Everyone's sitting there saying Nebraska. Like, to me,
it's a winnable game, but
they could end up. They could easily be favored in that game if they upset Kansas. They're favored in that game.
You may be right.
And Nebraska loses to Colorado. They'd be favored in that game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kansas, they're a dog. Penn State on the road, they're a dog. Michigan, Oregon, they're obviously dogs.
So
that's
you could maybe at Rutgers, maybe at Northwestern, depending on their seasons, but it's kind of 50-50 to me.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, if they have a very good season, I can get them 8-4. That's I think their ceiling in my book. I think 4-8 is the floor. I think around 5 or 6 wins. Flip a coin, which one it's going to be. I think Vegas nailed it.
What am I missing here, though, on them being? I don't understand how they're not more talented. Like when you watch college basketball, they have like great players year in and year out.
Yeah.
Hey, spend some on football, you idiots, because if not, you're going to end up being dropped by the Big Ten in the next 10 years. You're going to end up in the goddamn MAC playing Central Michigan every week. The
state flagship school of Illinois, which is completely centrally located in Big Ten country, is never going to get dropped by the Big Ten. Although I guess Chicago did a long time ago. So maybe the Big Ten.
You know that's next, though, right?
What's that?
The next is the teams at the bottom, Indiana,
that
Illinois.
Aren't getting it done.
Yeah. They're gonna get dropped.
I can't see them doing that, but you might be right. I haven't seen some of this other stuff.
You said you can't see them doing that, but could you see USC and Rutgers in a conference game?
Nope.
That's what I'm saying. Enough. I don't know if you know this, but all college football, the house burnt down. You know what I mean? Like Logic burnt down a long fucking time ago.
Yeah. The only thing that's keeping teams alive is really not even their wins and losses, but their marketability, which is tied to wins and losses, which hurts Illinois. But I think their proximity to Chicago helps them quite a bit from a viewership standpoint. I don't think Illinois is going anywhere. I think they're such a mainstay in the Big Ten that they don't have to really worry about.
Their basketball helps them.
That does help them a lot, yeah.
But dude, we saw Duke. Duke's made an effort over the past like 5-6 years to throw money into football. Yeah, you're seeing it pay off. Now I know they lost Elko, but you're seeing it pay off. They redid the whole stadium. They're going all in on football. You're seeing that across the board. With
you got to keep up
with a lot of teams.
Yeah, the arms race, baby. Invest, Illinois. Don't be putzes. You know, I'm a UVA fan. I'm fairly familiar with a blue and orange team just sitting around, underwhelming teams or being underwhelming year in, year out. Illinois is kind of their twin brother in that regard. So got to get that fixed.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me how like Fresno State brings in more talent than Illinois.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, Champaign is not right next to Chicago. That's like kind of central.
I mean, what is that? An hour and a half away? Come on, man.
Yeah, there's no shortage of talent in your backyard. Go get it.
And
Illinois has high academics too in their own regard, right?
Yeah, but whatever. All right, get out of here with this.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
Coleman Hawk. You're telling me Coleman Hawkins is a fucking straight A student? You know what I mean? Like you're telling me that some of these guys, I'm not buying it. I mean, maybe he is. I don't fucking know. But I'm saying, and I would say Daniel, because you're like Duke has money. Hello, the Big Ten just signed a contract where each school's going to be getting $80 to $100 million annually.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that Illinois doesn't make as much money or more than Duke, even with all the.
Now with that new deal, they're going to make way more than Duke. They're going to make like 4 times more than Duke.
What is it, like $30 million per year that the ACC teams get, or and then it's like 80 for the Big Ten? Yeah, I mean your basketball team has to be pulling in a lot of extra money somehow to make up for that gap. So yeah, there shouldn't be any difficulty paying for talent and upgrading your facilities, et cetera, et cetera. Why they continue to suck? Beyond no explanation.
Yeah,
so they just got to get it done.
So wait, are you on? You're riding with the under?
I don't know. I love Bielema. On that alone, I'm going to take the over. But I think it's right there 5, and I think it's his pound in the rock is going to figure out a way to win one more game, and they're going to go bowling 6-6.
I got him at 6-6 or 7-5. I'm on that over.
Boom.
Is it a lock that you're going to hear on the locks episode in August? No,
absolutely not.
No, not at all. But I will take the over on the Fighting Illini. And I just think he's a good coach. He'll find a way to get to a bowl. All right.
I like it.
Who do you think's better, Matt Rule or Bret Bielema as a college football head coach?
Pretty even. That's a tough one to call. What do you got?
it's tough, man. Because to me, to win at Temple is fucking probably the harder than any of the accomplishments. Like Arkansas has got a great history. You know what I mean? I mean, not in the SEC, but in the Southwest Conference. But Bobby Petrino and Houston Nutt have had big years there. So I'm like, okay.
I thought he did a solid job there. Not spectacular, obviously. But you know, his time at Wisconsin, obviously, but again, what is the expectation? He had the fact that he had a 7-6 season at Wisconsin. That's an outlier on the low end for Wisconsin. So he did have a couple like bad years for Wisconsin standards, and maybe need to take that into consideration. But still, 12-1, 11-2, 11-3, 10-3. Those are great years. And so on that, I think you maybe have to give Bielema the edge over Rule. But I mean, if I'm having one guy dial up, build a team and dial up a game plan, I think I'm going Rule.
You might be right there. I think that's a good question. If you're watching this, please in the YouTube comments or wherever you're hop on over there. If you're on Twitter, go to Twitter or X or at TCE on SGPN. Let us know who you think is better, because I think it's a good question. But that Temple job, man, to win at that Temple job, I think is one of the hardest places to win in
deserves some major credibility. And didn't he turned around Baylor pretty quickly too.
He did, but I will say Baylor had Jim Grobe that 1 year to kind of ease him in, I think. But
yeah,
Grobe's a great coach. But yeah, it's a good question. It's a good debate. I'm on the over. Patty C's on the over, and you need to get over to youtube.com/The College Experience. Hit that like and subscribe button, as well as Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcast at. Please, if you can, hop on over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review if you can. That helps. You know what I mean? And give Patty C a follow on Twitter at Patty C831. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Like I said, the College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Check out all of our other stuff. Hey, look, myself, Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour. You probably know who that is. We do a show called The Stadium Heads, and we talk about why college football is the greatest thing to hit planet Earth. And we talk about Memorial Stadium there in Champaign, a great stadium.
Oh yeah. We
also talk about how ridiculous the Chicago Bears are to leave Soldier Field for some bullshit dome. The Bears are officially dead, right? They've died. They've died if that happens. If they play in a dome, George Halas is rolling over in his grave.
Yeah.
Madden's rolling over in his grave. Everybody. It just should never happen. It's one of these things that should never happen. But check out the Stadium Heads podcast, because we'll talk a lot of shit about it. But also just for the history of college football stadiums and why college football is the greatest. I mean, that's one of the things I love about Illinois, is that you're playing on the same field that Red Grange played on. You're playing at the same field that Dick Butkus played on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How old is that stadium? How old is Memorial?
It's over
Stadium?
100 years, I believe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and shout out to Dave. College football is the greatest thing to hit planet off. Let's go. Daniel says go watch I did watch the Nebraska spring game. He did look great, but I mean, I don't know. I saw Arch Manning look great. You know what I mean? I saw, if we're going to take everything on a spring game, a lot of guys look good. You know what I mean?
It's tough to, when you're actually getting sacked, when the pressure's actually on, things change in a hurry.
But look, maybe he's right. I mean, the kid was the top recruit in the nation, a quarterback. Dylan Raiola is his name. So his uncle played at Nebraska. Check it all out, folks. We're going to preview Nebraska shortly, so you'll see my take there. But folks, also check out the College Basketball Experience. Illinois just landed a big recruit the other day. We talk college hoops year round on the College Basketball Experience. Also check out the College Baseball Experience. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as well. Every Friday night on VSiN. That's Brent Musburger's network, VSIN. Check it out, folks. Look, until next time, this is the College Football Experience, Fighting Illini style. I'm on the over. Patty C's on the over. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run and shoot. We can really run.